Recording in progress.
Welcome back to Mataya Hawadah, the spirits, the waters, and the blood. I'm your favorite Hebrew Israelite host, Wayne. Most definitely welcome. Thank you. Anyway, like I was saying, Tawada, Tada, Rabbi Yahweh, Bahashem, Hamashiach, Uvain, Barakata, Hamashiach, Yahweh, Uvain, Barakata, Ruach, Kodashecha, your Holy Spirit. Most definitely. Thanks again for tuning into the spirits, the waters, and the blood. Like I said before, you know who I am. But anyway, today I'm going to be addressing the topic of Molech. Molech, the ancient deity that still exists to this day, and that'll be another topic. But today I'm just going to be just talking about Molech. Okay, so we're going to go ahead, Halala wa Yahweh, Bahashem, Hamashiach, Yahushua, Yasharala, Uvain, Barakata, Ruach, Kodasheka, Elo Yakala, Latir, Tada, Rabbi, Yahweh, Shalom. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and just get started. Make a little adjustments. Just a little bit bigger. We're going to start with Leviticus chapter 20, verse 1. Try to get me out of the way as much as possible. Okay, this is from the King James Bible, punishment for disobedience. And Yahweh spake unto Moses, saying again, Thou shalt say to the children of Yisrael, whosoever he be of, I'm going to read what was inserted, is if you could always tell, because in some versions of biblical text, it's whatever added is in parentheses, so therefore you'll be able to get an inclination or know that that was inserted. And then another way that they do it, they italicize it, means they lean it to the left. They lean it to the right, but you're seeing me inverted, so basically leaning to the left. But anyway, whosoever he be of the children of Yisrael, or of strangers that sojourn in Yisrael, that giveth any of his seed, meaning any of his children, give any of his seed, any of his children, sacrifice unto Molech, he shall surely be put to death. The people of the land shall stone him with stones, and I will set my face against that man. And I will cut him off from among his people, because he hath given his seed, his child, his sacrifice unto Molech, to devour my sanctuary and profane my holy name. All praises Yahweh. And if the people of the land do any ways hide their eyes from the man who he giveth of his seed unto Molech, if anybody witnesses, and kill him not, if you see it and you kill him not, then I will set my face against that man and against his family, and will cut him off, and all that go a-whoring, and all that go a-whoring after him to commit whoredom with Molech from among their people, and their soul that turneth after such as have familiar spirits and after wizards to go whoring after them. So basically, if you worshiping, if you sacrificing and you going to whoring after Molech or any of the other familiar spirits, them are ancient spirits that's been around, that's witnessed since the dawn of time. Salaki. And after wizards to go a whore, and after them I will even set my face against that soul. against that person's soul and will cut him off from among his people. Sanctify yourselves, keep the law, statutes, commandments, and stay unto the Father, keep of the Sabbath, because we recognize that it's He that do sanctify us, because we sanctify Him. Therefore, and be ye holy, for I am Yahweh Elohim. And ye shall keep my statutes and do them, and I, Yahweh, which sanctify you. For everyone that curseth his father and his mother shall be surely put to death. He that curseth his father or his mother, and his blood shall be upon them. So with the main focus, just to keep it on track, we're looking at Molech. All right, so who is this ancient deity, Molech? Let's get a little bit of look at him. A little look-see look. All right, this is the deity Molech right here, and then this is what we just read in Leviticus when they're giving a sacrifice of their seed unto Molech. Psalms 106, 34 through 43. They did not destroy the peoples of the land, or as Yahweh. They did not destroy the peoples as Yahweh had commanded them, but mingled with the nations and emitted their ways. They served their idols and were ensnared by them. They sacrificed to demons their own sons and daughters, shedding innocent blood, the blood of their own sons and daughters, whom sacrificed to the idols of Canaan, the Molech, desecrating the land with bloodshed. They defiled themselves by their actions, because adulterers, became adulterers by their conduct. So Yahweh grew angry with his people, abhorred his own heritage, abhorred his own people, his own inheritance. He handed them over to the nations, and their adversaries ruled over them. Their enemies oppressed them, kept them under subjugation. Many times did he rescue them. But they kept rebelling and scheming and were brought low by their own guilt. So they were brought low. Psalms 106, 34 through 43. They kept sacrificing unto strange gods or strange spirits. So now we're gonna go in and take a look at, we could look at show you a few more images of Molech. And the deity that's him. All right, so basically they keep in the sacrifice of a child to handing your blood over to your seed, your blood, your baby over to a demon god, which is Molech, which, like I said before, is the same deity that's around. That's an ancient deity that's around to this day. Sometimes you get confused with being Baal. And you got to be careful about that word, because sometimes it illustrates Baal and Balial is basically the demon. And then when you say Baal, you're basically saying sir, master. It's a term of endearment and most definitely humbleness when you address a fellow Israelite, or an individual that you see a better or greater statue of you than that time frame. That's another one. And if you notice that this is the perfect picture of him, and like I said, how he exists today. This eye, that's part of Baali, of the part of the Molech, Baali or Baali. And then you add this eye is the eye of H. Well, forget it. All praises, the eye of Horus. And then you have the sun disk in the middle of the two Baphomet horns. So basically, this is all a symbol that's depicted in all. And get this image is depicted in every religion except the Hebrew religion when you don't add the evil version of the Tetragrammaton. When you look at the Tetragrammaton with the pentagram, basically that's when you got a whole bunch of different deities that they infused later on. Because as we see, Yahweh didn't come from him. It was one of the deities that at that time had no power, and still in present day have no time, but his followers are what creates the power behind this image. In White House, who work to make sure women are affected by the. All right, I don't know why this title is there, but that's weird. But anyway, like I said before, this image, the sun disk, and the half moon representing a new moon, sacrifice, the shield, sword. So basically, you see this as an infusion in all Islamic, Catholic, Baptist, Pentecostal, and I mean, it's sad. This is the way that's why the necromancers and then the spirit seekers and the ones that consult familiar spirits, that's basically the deity that you're getting your familiar spirits that you're receiving one of when you do that. And then you asking the Father to protect you after you do that? No, he's not. Planned Parenthood illustration, let's sacrifice more babies through our governmental systems unto the evil one. This is more so ancient, and like I said before, you have the Catholics here. I mean, right there, that's showing symbols of the serpent of the Baphomet, symbols of the serpents of the Baphomet. And like I said before, you get multiple religions across all of them, incorporate the Baphomet in there, except for Hebrewism. Hebrewism, and we're not this, we worship the Father, Yahweh, Elohim, Yahweh Shalom. All right, sacrificing freedoms for promises of safety and security and security is central to the worship of all false Elohim or all false gods. And like all false gods, the sacrifice will never be enough. Eternal damnation while living on earth. All right, so I'll keep it rolling. And this is I just wanted to show you a few pictures of the Baphomet. And again, this is another illustration of the Baphomet and how, our ancestors fell astray to worshiping other deities and other gods. So basically this Molech here, and we'll keep on going. Let's find out a little bit about this Molech. And there we go. So let's move down. Really give me more space. Nope. All right, so I'm gonna move it back up top. This is from the NIV Bible, the definition of of Molech. All right. Hello, Yahweh, Hashem Hamashiach, Yahweh Shah, Yashara, Rain Barakata, all right, Molech, was the national god of the Amorites. He was the national god, or Elohim of the Amorites, whose land bordered Israel's territory east of the Jordan, and well-known figure of worship. A well-known feature of the worship of Molech was the sacrifice of children by fire. Wow. Molech was the national Elohim of the Amorites, whose land bordered Israel's territories east of the Jordan. And a well-known feature of the worship of Molech was the sacrifice of children by fire, a practice that in Israel carried the death penalty. Do not give any of your children to be sacrificed to Molech, for you must not profane the name of Elohim. I am Yahweh. Alright, say to the Israelites, any Israelite or foreigner residing in Israel who sacrifices. Why the heck does this keep doing this? I'm gonna take Salafi. I'm gonna delete that program later because I see it's being annoying. Alright, say to the children of Israel, or say to the Israelites, any Israelite or foreigner residing in Israel who sacrifices any of his children to Molech is to be put to death. The members of the community are to stone him. Myself will set my face against him and will cut him off from his people by sacrificing his children to Molech. He has defiled my sanctuary and profaned my holy name. If the members of the community close their eyes if the members of the community close their eyes, if the members of the community close their eyes when that man sacrifices one of his children to Molech, and if they fail to put him to death, myself will set my face against him and his family and will cut them off from their people together with all who follow him is prostituting themselves to Molech. How far did I go down? All right, let's go back up. All right. So that you can hear my dog in the background chewing on his bone. All right. He desecrated Tepeth, which was in the valley of Ben Hinnom. So no one could use it to sacrifice their sons or their son or daughter in the fire to Molech. All right, I'll keep on going on a little further. All right, let's go look at here. All right, this is the last one. So anyway, they built high places to Baal. So remember when I was telling you that Molech is affiliated also with the present day or with the deity Baal. So basically this is an ancient deity. They built high places to Baal in the valley of Ben Hinnom to sacrifice their sons and their daughters to Molech. Though I never commanded, nor did it enter my mind, nor did it enter my mind. Let's just keep doing this. Alright, so Amorites destroyed 300, carried the death penalty. Hold on, why is it? Oh, okay, I know. Let's do this. Because it's starting to be irritating now. Alright, sacrifice children by fire, a practice that in Israel carried the death penalty for. When Solomon married an Amorite wife, he built a shrine for Molech. The shrine was not destroyed till the reign of Josiah. 300 years later, he followed Ashtoreth or Ashtoreth, another goddess. So okay, another deity, and they made cakes unto this fake deity. He followed Ashtoreth, the goddess of the Sidonians, and Molech, the detestable Elohim of the Amorites. On a hill of Jerusalem, Solomon built a high place for Chemosh, the detestable Elohim of Moab, and for Molech, the detestable Elohim of the Amorites. He desecrated, okay, so I read that, and let's keep it moving. In spite of the penalties and warnings, there were many occasions throughout Israel's history when people were guilty of offering child sacrifices. Again, the Israelites did evil in the eyes of Yahweh. They served the Baals, they served the gods and the Ashtoreths and the gods of Aram, the gods of Sodom, the gods of Moab, the gods of the Amorites, and the Elohim of the Philistines. And because the Israelites forsook Yahweh and no longer served them, he did some really bad stuff to him. And Jephthah made a vow to Yahweh: if you give the Amorites into my hands, whatever comes out of the door of my house to meet me, or whatever comes out of the door of my house to meet me, when I return to triumph from the Amorites, will be Yahweh's, and I will sacrifice it as a burnt offering. After the 2 months, she returned to her father, and he did to her as he had vowed, and she was a virgin. For this comes from this comes the Israelites' traditions. So I'll keep reading. There is no record of child sacrifice by the Israelites after the Babylonian captivity. After the Babylonian captivity. The name of a pagan deity whose worship, the name from what's this fake deity's name again? The Molech. All right, the name of a pagan deity whose worship figures largely in the later history of the kingdom of Judah as the national Elohim of the Amorites. He is known as Malcolm. So see, they kept changing his name was being changed by the nations over periods of time. Over periods of time. When the Revised Version margin reads their king. Okay, so the use of Basilos and Achia, or well, as the translations of the name by the Septuagint suggests that it may have been originally the Hebrew word for king, Melech, or Molech. It is, or Molech is obtained from Melech by the substitution of the vowels points of Hebrew Basheth. You know, that Masoretic dotting pointing system, or the Tiberian writing system, signifying shame from the obscure and difficult passages in Amos. You have lifted up the shrine of your king, the pedestals of your idols, the star of your God, which you made for yourselves, The Revised Version from the British and the American has removed your Moloch and given you your king. But the Septuagint had here translated Moloch, and from the Septuagint it is found, it's way into the Acts, the only occurrences of the name in the New Testament. The worship in Old Testament or Old History Testament. Okay, probably really, this is a lot better, but let's see how this works. The worship in Old Testament history. In Levitical ordinances delivered to the Israelites by Moshe, there are stern prohibitions of Moloch worship. Leviticus 23, let's look at it. Do not give any of your children to be sacrificed to Moloch, for you must not profane the name of your father. I am Yahweh. Do not give any of your children to be sacrificed to Molech, for you must not profane the name of Eloheinu, your God. I am Yahweh. Parallel to these prohibitions, although the name of Elohai is not mentioned, are those of the Deuteronomical codes, where the abominations of the Canaanites are forbidden, and the burning of their sons and daughters in the fire. Its Moloch is condemned as the climax of their wickedness. You must not worship Yahweh Eloheinu, your God, in their way. You must not worship Yahweh, your Eloheinu. You must not worship Yahweh Elohiah or Yahweh Eloheinu in their way, because in worshiping their gods, they do all kinds of detestable things Yahweh hates. They even burn their sons and daughters in the fire as sacrifice to their Elohiah. Let no one be found among you who sacrifices their sons or daughter, or son or daughter in the fire, who practice divinations or sorcery, interprets omens, engage in witchcraft, or cast spells, or who is a medium or spirit, or who consults the dead. Anyone who does these things is detestable to Yahweh. Because of these same detestable practices, Yahweh Eloheinu will drive out those nations before you. You must be blameless before them. You must be blameless before Yahweh Eloheinu. The references of Malcolm and David causing the inhabitants of Rahab Amos to pass through the brickland. I'm gonna have to shrink this. Alright, but I don't want to. I'll do it. Let's see if I can do 150. Alright, this one works. Let's see what this does. Alright, so Malcolm and Davis calls to the inhabitants of Rabath and Ammon. The inhabitants of Rabath, Ammon, to pass through the brickland. Samuel. God, David took the crown from their king. David took the crown, or a crown from their king's head, and it was placed on his own head. It weighed a talent of gold, and it was set with precious stones. David took a great quantity of plunder from the city, and brought out the people who were there, consigning them to labor with saws and with iron picks and axes, and he made them work. He made them work at brickmaking. David did this to all the Amorites' towns. Then he had his entire army return to Jerusalem. I don't want to have to keep doing this, so I'll just keep on reading. Alright, the bricks of the Samuel, the Rahab. Let's see if I can get this one to pop up decently without having to scroll and lose place, but it's not, so we're not going to do this. Alright. Brickland, so making bricks, are not sufficiently clear to found upon because of the uncertainty of the reading. Solomon, under the influence of his adulterous wives, under the influence of his adulterous wives, built high places for Chemosh, another deity, and the abomination of Moab, and for Malcolm, the abomination of the children of Ammon. Because of this it was intimated by the prophet Ahijah, that the kingdom was to be rent out of the hand of Solomon, and 10 tribes given to Jeroboam. The high places survived to the time of Josiah, who among his other works of religious reform or reformation destroyed and defiled them, filled their places with the bones of men. Molech worship had eventually received a great impulse from Ahaz, who, like Ahab of Israel, was a supporter of foreign religion. In 2 Kings, he also made his son to pass through the fire according to the abomination of nations, whom Yahweh will cast out from before the children of Israel. His grandson Manasseh, so far from following in the footsteps of his father Hezekiah, who had made great reforms in the worship, built altars for Baal, and besides other abominations which he practiced, made his sons to pass through the fire. The chief site of this worship was of which Ahaz and Manasseh were the promoters, was Topheth in the valley of Hanan, which was destroyed, or as it is also called, the valley of the children, or of the son of Hanan, lying to the southwest of Jerusalem, south Gehenna. Of Josiah's reformation, it is said that he defiled Topheth, that no man might make his son or daughter to pass through the fire of Molech, destroyed. Even Josiah, through reformation, failed to extirpate the Molech worship, and it revived and continued till the destruction of Jerusalem, as we learn from the prophets of the time. From the beginning, the prophets maintained against it a loud and persistent protest. The testament of Amos is ambiguous. The testament of Amos is ambiguous to most of the ancient versions of Malachim. Their king in the former passage read Malachim, the national Elohim of Ammon. Isaiah or Yeshua was acquainted with Topheth and its abominations. Over against its beauty and lofty descriptions of spiritual religion, Macha sets the aggravated or the exaggerated zeal or zeal. Malcolm sets the exaggerated zeal of those who asked in the spirit of the Molech worship, shall I give my firstborn for my transgression, the fruit of my body for the sin of my soul? That Molech had increased in the interval may account for the frequency and the cleanness of the references to it, entitled later prophets. It until later prophets. In Jeremiah, we find the passage of sons and daughters through the fire of Molech associated with the building of the high places of Baal, which are in the valley of the son of Hanan. In his oracle against the children of Ammon, the same prophet denouncing evil against their land depicts or predicts, almost in the very words of Amos above, that Malchus shall go into captivity, his priests and his princesses together. Ezekiel, speaking to the exiles in Babylon, refers to the practice of causing children to pass through the fire to heathen deities as long established, and proclaims the wrath of Elohim against it. This prophet regarded the practices as among the statutes that were not good, and ordinances wherein they should not live, given by Elohim to his people, the Israelites, by way of depiction and judicial punishment, as some behold or some hold, and highly improbable and inconsistent with the whole prophet attitude towards it. Zephaniah, who prophesied to the men who saw the overthrow of the kingdom of Yehudah, denounces Elohim's judgment upon the worshippers of false gods. He does not directly charge his countrymen with having forsaken Yahweh for Molech, but blames them because worshiping him. They also swear to Malcolm, like those Assyrian colonists in Samaria who feared Yahweh and served their own Elohim, or like those whom Ezekiel where elsewhere speaks, who the same day on which they had slain their children to their idols entered the sanctuary of Yahweh to profane it. They were unclean. The captivity in Babylon put an end to Molech worship, since it weaned the people from all their idolatries, who did not hear of it in the post-exilic prophets. So they were a little bit beyond that time. So they didn't hear of it, so they figured it was okay. All right, after the post-exilic prophets, and in the great historical psalms of Israel, and in the great historical psalms of Israel's rebellious and Elohim's deliverance, it is only referred to in retrospect. The nature of worship of the Molech, false deities, spirits, familiar spirits, period. All right, when we come to consider the nature of this worship, it is remarkable how few details are given regarding in Scripture the place where it was practiced from the days of Ahaz to Manasseh. Was the valley of Hinnom, where Topath stood, a huge altar prepared for burning and sacrificing victims. There is no evidence connecting the worship with the temple in Jerusalem, though. Ezekiel's vision of sun worship, Baal worship, Molech worship in the temple is purely ideal. A priesthood is spoken of as attached to the services. The victims offered to the deities were not burnt alive, but were killed as sacrifices and then presented as burnt offerings to pass through the fire, has been taken to mean a lustrous personification of the children of the child by fire. Not involving death, but the prophets clearly speak of slaughter and sacrifice and of high places, but to burn the child in the fire as burnt offerings. The popular conception model for English readers largely be Milton's Horrid King, as described in Paradise Lost, Book 1, is derived from the accounts given in late Latin and Greek writers, especially the account of Dibrius Siculus gives in his history of the Carthaginians, Cronios or Moloch. The image of Moloch was a human figure, because it was made by a person. Human figure with a bull's head and an outstretched arm, ready to receive the children destined for sacrifice. The image of metal was heated red hot by a fire kindled within, and the children laid on its arms rolled off into the fiery pit below in order to drown the cries of the victims. Flutes were played and drums were beaten, and mothers stood by without tears or sob to give the impression of the voluntary character of the offering. sad. The question of the origin of this worship, there is great variety of views. Of a non-Sem origin, Semitic origin, there is no evidence and there is no trace of human sacrifices in the old Babylonian religion that it prevailed widely among Semitic peoples is clear. Original or origin and extent of the worship. While Malcolm or Malcolm is peculiarly the national Elohim of the Amorites, as Chemosh of the Moabites, the name Molech or Melech was recognized among the Phoenicians, the Philistines, the Arameans, and the other Semitic peoples as a name for the deity they worship from a very early time. That it was common among the Canaanites when the Israelites entered the land is evident from the fact that it was among the abominations from which they were to keep themselves free from, or free. That it was identical at first with the worship of Yahweh, because you had Israelites worshiping another deity in their way, such as you shall not worship Yahweh in another nation's or another deity's way. All right, and Yahweh, or that the prophets and the best men of the nation even regarded it as the national worship of Israel, is a modern theory which does not appear to the present writer to have been sustained or substantiated. It has been inferred from Abraham's readings to offer up Isaac at the command of Elohim for the story of Jephthah and his daughter, and even the sacrifice of Hill, the Bethlehemite. That human sacrifice to Yahweh was an original custom in Israel, that therefore the Elohim of Israel was no other than Molech, or at all events of deity of some similar character. But these incidents is assuredly to slander and a foundation to support such a crazy theory. But the fundamental idea of the heathen rite was the same as that which laid at the foundation of Hebrews' ordinances, the best to Elohim. But by presenting to us the story of the offering of Isaac and the presenting presenting it in this precise form, the writer simply teaches the truth that taught by all the prophets to obey is better than sacrifice. In other words, that Elohim worship in Abraham's time was a Elohim who did not delight in destroying life, but in saving and sanctifying it, his people. While there is no ground for identifying Yahweh with, Molech, there are good grounds for seeing a community of origin between Molech and Baali, though. The worship and their general characteristics are so similar that it is natural to assign them a common place of origin in the Phoenicians. I'm talking about Molech and Baali. So I told you that it's still around. It's all merged. The fact that Molech worship and is still going on to this day, just in different ways in your churches, you just don't realize it. Moloch worship reaches the climax of its abominable cruelty in the Phoenicians colony, or the Phoenician colony of which Carthage was the center, shows that it has, or it had found among that people a soil suited to its peculiar genesis or genius. Sad, but it's still going on to this day. So like I said before, that's just proof enough, right, or showing right there that, Baphomet, the Baphomet origin, it really did, it kept going. What is this? Okay, this is on Baal. What do Alright, I'll just read the first part of this, because basically this shows how Baal, Molech, and Baali, or Baal, they coincide. And it also touches briefly on, I'll just read it. Here we go. This is from Britannica. Britannica. All right, so Baal, Elohim worshipped in many ancient Middle Eastern communities, especially among the Canaanites, who apparently consider him a fertility deity and one of the most important Elohims in the pantheon. As the Semitic common noun Baal, Hebrew, Baal meant owner or just Lord. See what I was saying earlier? Baal meant owner or just Lord. Although it could be used more generally, for example, a Baal or Baal of wings was a winged creature. The Baal of wings was a winged creature. And in the plural, Baalion of arrows indicates archers. Yet such fluidity in the use of the term Baal did not prevent it from being attached to Elohim of distinct character. As such, Baal designated the universe Elohim of fertility, and in that capacity, his title was Prince of Fertility, I guess. Lord of the earth. So, merge of the enemy, the slanderer, Satan. He was also called the Lord, or the Elohim of rain and dew, the two forms of moisture that were indispensable for fertility, or for fertile soil in Canaan, Salathia and Ugaritic and Hebrew. Baal's epithet as the storm Elohim was he who rides on the clouds. In Phoenician, he was called Baal Shemen. Shemen, Elohim of heaven. Knowledge of Baal's personality and functions derives chiefly from a number of tablets uncovered from 1929 onward at Ugaritic modern Ras Shamara in northern Syria, and dating to the middle of the 20th millennium BC, or the second millennium BC, before AD. Or CE. AD, CE, the same thing. BCE, the same thing as BC. All right, the tablets, although closely attached to the worship of Baal, his local temple probably represents Canaanite belief generally. Fertility was envisioned in terms, should look that up, let's see. All right. To view or regard in a certain way. Oh, okay. All right. So, Fertility was viewed or evaluated in terms of 7-year cycles, in the mythological or mythology of Canaan, Canaan. Baal, the Elohim of life and fertility, looked or locked in mortal combat with Mot. That's another deity. Mot, ancient West Semitic Elohim of the dead. West Semitic Elohim of the dead, of all the powers that oppose life and fertility. Okay, so that's why Baali was fighting Mot, right? And basically, that's how you get a lot of individuals that get confused, and then they start mixing all of this stuff up, and then they really don't understand what they're reading and then they infuse the biblical text along with this crazy thought, mythology of the Canaanites and other the pagans and Christmas. You need to stop. You're headed for damnation. It's only one Father. It's only one way to worship Him, the way that our ancestors worshiped Him. His word is not changed. All right, with Mot, the Elohim of death and sterility, or sterilization, if Baal, triumph. A 7-year cycle of fertility would ensure, but if he was vanquished by Mot, 7 years of drought and famine would ensure. All right, so this particular fake Elohim can be beat up and stuff like and sent on his way. Interesting. All right, you know what? I'm done with all of this mythological. I'm getting tongue twisted. Mythology, beliefs and myths. And let's look at this. Myth. A symbolic narrative, usually of unknown origin, and at least partially traditional, that ostensibly relates actual events, and that is especially associated with religious beliefs. It is distinguished from symbolic behavior, cult ritual, and symbolic places or subjects, temples, icons. Myths are specific accounts of fake Elohim or superhuman beings like Hercules involved in extraordinary events or circumstances in a time that is unspecified, about which is understood as existing, apart from ordinary human experiences. The term mythology denotes both the study of myth and the body of myths belong to a particular religious tradition. Like Jacob and the big head scientists, Alright, so let me go on with this. I'm gonna go ahead and close it out here because that's enough with all of this stuff. And our Elohim was not mixed with no other deity. He is that he is. So all of you trying to infuse that the Tetragrammaton is evil, no, the Father's name is spiritual, and that you can't. The Bible has been hijacked. Like, man, it was Hebrews written for Hebrews. So y'all need to just go ahead and cut that nonsense. Alright, so I'm gonna end it with this, right? Let's go ahead and let the words speak. And I'm gonna read it from, I don't know which one I'm gonna read. It don't, oh, the King James Bible. It doesn't matter because I read all of these versions, so it doesn't even, it doesn't matter. But let's just keep it King James, so that it's easy to follow along. Ecclesiastes 1, verse 1. The words of the preacher, the son of David, king in Jerusalem, or Jerusalem, vanity of vanities, saith the preacher, vanity of vanities. All is vanity. What profit hath a man of all his labor which hath taken under the sun? One generation passeth away, and another generation cometh, but the earth abide forever. The sun also ariseth, and the sun goeth down, and hesitateth to his, and hasteth to his place where he arose. The wind goeth towards the south, and turn about unto the north. It whirleth about continually, and the wind returneth again according to his circuits. All the rivers run into the sea, yet the sea is not full. Unto the place from whence the rivers come, thither they return again. All things are full of labor. Man cannot utter it. The eye is not satisfied with seeing, nor the ear filled with hearing. The thing that hath been, it is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done. And there is no new thing under the sun. All familiar spirits. Is there anything whereof it may be said, see, this is new? It hath been already of old time, which was before us. There is no remembrance of former things, neither shall there be any remembrance of things that are to come with those that shall come after. I, the preacher, was king over Yisrael and Jerusalem, and I gave my heart to seek and search out by wisdom concerning all things that are done under the heaven. This sole travail hath Elohim given to the sons of man to be exercised, or to be exercised therewith. I have seen all the works that are done under the sun, and behold, all is vanity and vexation of spirits, aggravation of the spirit. That which is cannot be made straight, and that which is wanted cannot be numbered. Wanted cannot be numbered. I commune with mine own heart, saying, lo, I have come to great estate, and have gotten more wisdom than all they that have been before me in Jerusalem. Yea, my heart had great experiences of wisdom and knowledge, and I gave my heart to know wisdom and to know madness and folly. I have perceived that this also is vexation of spirit. For much wisdom is much grief, and he that increaseth knowledge increaseth sorrow. The more you know, the more you understand. I said in my heart, go to now, I will prove thee with mirth. Therefore enjoy pleasure, and behold this is also vanity. I said of laughter, it is mad, and of mirth, what is death? And I sought in my own heart to give myself unto wine, yet acquainting mine heart with wisdom, and to lay hold on folly, till I might see what was that good for the sons of man, or men, which they should do under the heaven all the days of their life. I made me great works. I made me great works. I built me houses. I planted me vineyards. I made me gardens and orchards, and I planted trees in them all of all kinds of fruit. I made me pools of water to water, therewith the wood that bringeth forth trees. I got me servants and maidens, and had servants born in my house. Also I had great possessions of great and small cattle above all that were in Jerusalem before me. I gathered me also silver and gold, and the peculiar treasures of kings and of the provinces. I got me men singers and women singers, and the delights of the sons of men as musician or musical instruments, at that of all sorts. So I was great and increased more than all that were before me in Jerusalem. Also my wisdom remained with me, and whosoever mine eyes desire, I kept not from them. I withheld not my heart from any joy. I withheld not my heart from any joy, for my heart rejoices in all my labor, and this was my portion of all my labor, that I look on all the works that my hands have wrought, and on the labor that I had labored to do, and behold, all was vanity and vexation of spirit, because I was relying on myself, or he was relying on himself, and not acknowledging that it was he who gave the ability to do that. Hallelujah. And I turned myself to behold wisdom and madness and folly. For what can the man do that cometh after the king, even that which hath been already done? Then I saw that wisdom excelleth folly, as far as light excelleth darkness. The wise man's eyes are in his head, but the fool walketh in darkness. And I myself perceived also that one event happeneth to them all. Then said I in my heart, as it happeneth to the fool, so it happeneth even to me. And why was I then more wise? Then I said in my heart, that this also is vanity, for there is no remembrance of the wise more than of the fool forever, seeing that which none now is in the days to come shall all be forgotten. And he doeth, or he dieth, the wise man, as the fool. Therefore I hated life, because the work that is wrought under the sun is grievous unto me, for all is vanity and vexation of the spirit. Yes, I hated all my labor which I have taken under the sun, because I should leave it unto the man that shall be after me, and who knoweth whether he shall be a wise man or a fool, yet shall he have ruled over all my labor wherein I have labored, and wherein I have showed myself wise under the sun. This also is vanity. Therefore I went out about to cause my heart to despair of all the labor which I took under the sun. For there is a man whose labor is in wisdom and in knowledge and in equity, equity. Yet to a man that hath not labored therein, shall he leave it for his portion? Or leave it for his portion, that this also is vanity and a great evil. For what have man of all his labor and of the vexation of his heart, wherein he hath labored under the sun, for all his days are sorrows, and he travailed great, yea. His heart taken not rest in the night. This also is vanity. There is nothing better for a man than that he should eat or drink, and that he should make his soul enjoy good in his labor. This also I saw, that it was from the hand of Elahiah, who can eat, or who else can hasten unto or hereunto more than I. You understood, right? All praises. For Elahiah giveth that man that is good in his sight wisdom and knowledge and joy, but to the sinner he giveth travail to gather and to heap up, that he may give to him that is good before Elahiah. This also is vanity and vexation of spirit. To everything there is a season and a time, to every purpose under the heaven. A time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, and a time to pluck up that which is planted. A time to kill, and a time to heal, a time to break down, and a time to build up, a time to weep, and a time to laugh, a time to mourn, and a time to dance, a time to cast away stones, and a time to gather stones together, a time to embrace, and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to get, and a time to lose, a time to keep, and a time to cast away, a time to rend, and a time to sow, a time to keep silent, and a time to speak, and a time to love, and a time to hate, a time of war, and a time of peace. What profit hath he that worketh in that wherein he laboureth? I have seen the travail which Elahiah have given to the sons of men to be exercised in it. He hath made everything beautiful. He hath made everything beautiful in this time. Also he hath set the world in their hearts, or he hath set the world in their heart, so that no man can be found, or no man can find out the work of Elahiah maketh from the beginning to the end. From creation to revelation. In the beginning is the truth. I know that there is no good in them, but for a man to rejoice and to do good in his life, and also that every man should eat and drink and enjoy the good in all his labor. It is the gift of Elahiah. It is the gift of Elahiah. I know that whatsoever Elahiah does or doth, it shall be forever. Nothing can be put to it. Nothing. I know whatsoever Elahiah doth, it shall be forever. Nothing can be put to it, nor anything taken from it. And Elahiah doth. That man should fear before him. That which hath been and is now, that which hath been is now, and that which is to be hath already been, and Alahaya require that which is to pass. And moreover, I saw under the sun the place of judgment, that wickedness was there, and the place of righteousness, that iniquity was there, transgression of the law, statutes, commandments. And I said in my heart, Alahaya shall judge the righteous, the ones that keep his law, statutes, commandments, and believe in Hamashiach Yahushua, and the wicked, for there is a time there for every purpose and for every work, and the wicked, for there is a time, there for every purpose and for every work. And Alahaya shall judge the righteous and the wicked. And I said in my heart concerning the estate of the sons of men, that Alahaya might manifest them, and that they might see that they themselves are beasts, for which they are beasts, for that which befalleth, the sons of men befalleth beasts. Beasts can die, the men can die, that befalleth dies, sons of men befalleth beasts. Even one thing befalleth them, as the one dieth, so dieth the other. Yea, they have all come, they have all one breath. They have all one breath. So that a man have no preeminence above a beast, for all of that is vanity. All go unto one place, all are of the dust, and all turn to dust again. Who knoweth the spirit of man that goeth upward, and the spirit of beasts that goeth downward to earth? Wherefore I perceive that there is nothing better than that a man should rejoice in his own works, for that it is his portion. For whom shall bring him to see what shall be after him? And I'm going to go ahead and leave it with that. All praises. Thanks again for taking the time out to tune in to Matai Yahweh. Please take the time out to... That was a long... No, I'm just playing. But anyway, please take the time out to like, share, subscribe. All praises. Thanks for tuning in. Spending a little time with your favorite Hebrews right way, to educate, inform, and get whatever knowledge across that to individuals that may need this particular information. Thank you. But anyway, like I said before, just wanted to shed a little bit of light on that Baphomet thing. The Molech, and how these different symbols of different deities, they're existing today in these present churches. So you got to be careful when you use certain words. And just like what one dude was trying to say, Aman, meant that you're calling on a god, Amen Ra, or something like that. I mean, but anyway, it's all mythological. They're making this stuff up, and then they're infusing it with the word. So with the word, of course, you know, that's how individuals get tossed to and fro, and they start coming up with 100-foot giants out of Enoch, and then thought that the Emerald Tablet said that this God did that. And I'm like, man, it's all a bunch of lies. It's all a bunch of stories made to entertain you. So, and one thing I can say about when you look at the word and you look at the biblical places, or the places where these particular instances were supposed to transpire, they actually exist. They actually exist to this day. Places in the Bible have been, what, something 95? I'm thinking it's higher than that, like 98. But 95, or at least 90% of the places mentioned inside of the scripture have been proven are actual places. 60%, 40 to 60, 40 to 50%, I think it's 60%, but I'm gonna say 40 to 50% of the ancient individuals mentioned in the scriptures actually exist. Prophecies in the scripture actually occurred. The Father, Yahweh is a Tik Yamin, the most ancient of days. And as we see, he's the most ancient of days. No matter where you look at the word always says that from the beginning he created all. The external, outside of time. So you could go with infusing and trying to change the Father's word and worshiping in your way and calling his name on whatever you want to call him, then okay, more power to you. Those are for y'all who will come with y'all. Well, if you for Baali or Molech, go with Molech. May the Father have mercy on your soul before he cast you into the lake of fire. And with that, I'm just going to go ahead and say, Shalom Alaikum, peace be unto you. Stay prayed up. All praises. Allah, Yahweh, Hashem, HaMashiach, Yahweh. Yahweh means Yahweh is salvation. Yahweh means I am to come to be. I become. I will exist. He exists. Yahweh, he exists. Point blank. Yahweh Shah, Yahweh is salvation. Hashem HaMashiach Yahweh Shah. Uven Barakatah Ruach Kodesheka. Etlo Yakala. Let's hear. Stay prayed up. Shalom Alaikum.